We got some happy pigs. It's about 10 gallons of food waste from our local pub. Soaked in a bit of whey, so it didn't go. I didn't have, we don't have a walk-in, so I couldn't refrigerate it. But I couldn't give them all of it at once. So I just soaked it in whey to kind of pickle it, since whey is kind of acidic, and hoped that that wouldn't go bad like that. These guys got iron stomachs anyway. They're getting huge. They love it. They love it. They go crazy over some of this stuff, it's the kind of thing that it's garbage food mostly, it's like pasta and cheese and desserts. A little slice of lemon right there. Who knows if they'll eat it, but, if they don't eat it, as always, I got 2 big old bins sitting right over there full of food, and they're all fighting over the one. There's a lot less conflict than last year in the dry feeding. We had a dry feeding elevator thing. When they were about this size, only really 1 or 2 of them could eat at a time. And they fought like viciously over it. So this still, as much as this looks like a lot of conflict, it's less conflict than occurred last year. At some point they just, that's just who they are. But it's definitely a lot less stressful for them last year. They got plenty of food. And easy access to it whenever they want. Even though they're all fighting over one zucchini in there. Would you guys relax? Their pen's not looking too bad. They haven't totally demolished it. Mostly took out all the vegetation. This used to be thick and goldenrod and pigweed and a couple ferns, that kind of stuff. You can actually see what it used to be right over there. Should probably clip those so they don't go to seed all over my garden space. I'll feed them to the chickens or something. I've been trying to ferment their feed. It hasn't been going super great. I think I just don't have the right kind of stuff. If I was serving them whole grains, I could see how that would make a lot of sense, because I could, keep the liquid. But since I've got mash, fermenting it's kind of difficult, because the mash will, it's like pickling something. You want it to stay at the bottom. If it floats to the top, it'll get moldy. And the mash, just inevitably, it seems like it always, no matter how much I hydrate it, the bunch floats to the top and gets moldy, and it just causes problems. So for now, I'm not giving up on fermenting it, because it's supposed to make it a lot more available for their gut. But I think I was making them sick a little bit with some slightly rotten food. Giving them like diarrhea and stuff, not like sick, but. So I think I'm gonna do dry food. And what you got over there? What are you fighting on? What are you battling with over there? They don't really chew their food, so they kind of put it on the ground, step on it, and then tear at it. It's kind of fun to watch. They're omnivores, so you can give them meat. The other day I threw them a big old piece of pastrami from, actually felt some Carnegie Deli pastrami, because I didn't, it's been sitting in our fridge so long, and I wasn't going to eat it, and Erica doesn't like it that much. But fancy-ass pastrami, and I threw it to them, and they battled over that for hours. It was hilarious. Because it was hard for them to chew, so they got a lot of stimulation out of that. It's an interesting sort of economy when you're doing this. You want the food to be as available as possible for them. You always want there to be lots of food available to them so they can eat and fill up whenever they want. But you also don't want their food to be too easy for them to eat, because then they just get bored and start messing with the fence and trying to break out. Sometimes I like to give them something they gotta battle with, gotta sink their teeth into to really get at. Like, you see it over there. It's not the cleanest looking operation, but I'll throw the box in when we get scraps from work. I'll just throw the whole box in, and then they have to kind of fight with the box to get it open and figure their way out in there, and just give them something to do. Because they really are very intelligent. So they need, they're getting fat though, huh? Look at these guys, they're huge. For scale. My hand for scale. Hi, buddy. Yeah, some of them don't like it that much. 2 of them are running behind in size. I think this guy and that guy over there are skinnier than the other 2, but these 2 are honking. Porkers, man, they're going crazy. They're getting huge. Of course, the slop's kind of gross. It always is. I'm always like, ooh, I don't want to eat that. But I had an interesting thought the other day, because we had some. The story of it is always like something that went slightly bad that you don't want to eat, but like is still probably fine. It might make me sick, maybe, but it's not going to kill me or hurt me that much. But I don't want to eat it. Like, we had some egg drop soup that I made for dinner, and I left it in the microwave. Forgot to eat it, so in the morning we saw that it was there. And I fed it to the pigs, and I just poured it on top of their regular, wet feed that they don't seem to, they like it, but they leave a little bit there. They don't eat as much as they could. There's always a layer on the bottom. They don't empty the bowl. And so I poured that egg drop soup on top, and they went crazy for it. They ate everything. Made me think that maybe the chicken stock in the egg drop soup, maybe that would be something worth thinking about, is to give them some stock to make it taste good. A little meat flavoring. Buy some of those industrial, big old half-gallon bouillon, better than bouillon things, and just a little bit every time in their wet mix. Ooh, spider on me. Interesting thought. Probably not worth it, but maybe they'd eat more. Who knows? It could be economical. All right, these guys aren't such dignified eaters. Let's move on to the chickens. See a little update on them. We had a bit of an escape earlier. A little bit of drama. I don't know if it was a dog or if Goose messed with the door or something. I think only Goose would be strong enough to actually push it open from the inside. But relax, Goose. Relax. You see I have this little door hooked up. It's just a pole. I don't even know where this pole came from. I just had it laying around, weaved throughout the chicken wire, and then little hooks from an old wire fence. We have a bunch of scrap wire fence, and so I cut it up, and I have these ribbed sections like this. You see and then there's the straight sections. I use the straight sections to weave together the two different pieces of chicken wire, and the rib sections I struggle to find many uses for it, and this is one. I think I got lazy. You kind of really have to pull this door taut. You kind of pull and seat it in. You really got to pull it. And so maybe I think I was just getting lazy, and these were starting to lean, stick out like that a little bit. And I think Goose just came flying at the door and knocked it down or something, or the dogs messed with it. I don't know. But earlier today, Erica got home, and all the chickens were out. I was eating lunch, and all the chickens were just running around. Luckily, it was seemed like it hadn't been that long. They were all standing right over here and all pretty much together. If they had been all over the property, that would have been a disaster. But it was pretty easy to herd them all back in, except for one little chicken was kind of really obnoxious to get back in. We played Ring Around the Rosie around the coop or around the pen for, I don't even know how long. But hi, Goose. Goose is still antisocial. It's kind of what her purpose is, though. She's starting to stretch her wings. Kind of wonder if one day I'm just going to come out here and she's going to be gone. I might have to clip her wings or something. Doesn't hurt him, of course, but it just, she already doesn't like me. I don't think she'd like getting pinned down and getting half her wings cut off. That doesn't sound like a good way to start a relationship. I'm still working on this fence. Got some free pine shavings that are in there. It was in the last video. Give them a little bit of dry food. I ferment the chicken food too, and I have trouble figuring out how much to give them. As you can see, their trough is very empty, but I think it depends on how much dry I actually put in the wet mix. Sometimes it's different, and so I gave them two buckets the other day, and there was, I went for days, 2 or 3 days it lasted, and then I gave them a bucket today, and they just demolished it. So I don't really know. Trying to standardize the feed systems, but, I've got other things going on. Are you a rooster? You look like a rooster. You stick your head up. That is a rooster. We've got a few males out here. Hopefully they can keep the peace. Ladies get cranky. Your head is funny. All right, this probably rambled on a little too long. I'm sure. Sure, it's rambled on a little too long. Getting big though. No eggs yet. Maybe a month still. They're getting pretty sizable. They're starting to battle. They were having freaking Monday Night Raw out here early this morning. They were just going crazy. Starting to do battle and determine who's top chicken. But, they change. They get bigger, they change size. So once they're full size, it's pretty well established who's top chicken. But when they're all young, everyone wants to be top chicken. So there's quite a bit of battle going on this morning. You can see maybe one going on over there right now. They puff their feathers up. You can't see that too well, that's pretty grainy. But they puff their neck feathers up like a dog, and they just peck at each other. It's hilarious. And then eventually one of them, you know, succumbs and runs away in fear. I love when they roost, it's so cute. It's about bedtime, you guys. You guys should go in. What is it, like 6? Did a head count the other day when they were roosting. Actually, the only time you can do a head count is when they're asleep because they're moving around too much otherwise. Okay, 71 a few days ago, which is pretty good because that about tracks my memory of how many chickens have passed away. Only 4. So that means no mysterious deaths. Sometimes you wonder, you know, are there just chickens dying in the night and you don't even know? With 75, how do you keep track? Well, probably every week I'll do a little census and see how many we lost. I saw some feathers on the ground. You see them like right here. I can't tell why they're here. Could be that this is from picking them up and throwing them back over the fence during our little escape. Or maybe a chicken died here. They always say it looks like a little explosion of feathers on the ground when an eagle gets them or a fox gets them or something like that. I saw one on the other side of the property. Said, I know at least one chicken. That could have been the one that Richard killed. I don't know though. I don't know for sure. It's hard to say. I'll do a head count again soon. Are we gonna get a little battle action? It's hard to say for sure. You guys are really chowing away at that dry feed. It's tough. Everyone says they like the wet feed more. The chickens, the pigs, everyone tells me they like the wet fermented feed more. But lived experience. They go after the dry feed like nothing you wouldn't believe. So I can't really say for sure which is more efficient. I mean, like when I refill the little elevator that we had, it's still in the inside. When I refill that, the pigs are crazy for it. Almost more so for their dry feed. So it makes me wonder, should I just be doing dry? Is it not worth the effort? It's hard to say. Pretty convincing numbers though. Some people's research is saying that you get like, at scale, you know, these are guys who have hundreds of chickens. They're getting 10% increased egg production from their layers on fermented feed instead of dry. They actually said that, because normally before I was fermenting, I was just wetting it. Because sometimes they throw the dry food around and it gets all messy. And so this way it's not so dusty, they can't just blow it around everywhere. Research actually showed that was worse because the grains soak and get bigger. And then they fill their stomachs up faster, but with less nutrition. So, without the benefit of the easier digestion from the fermented feed, just purely wetted feed seems to be nutritionally worse. So they eat. It means they're getting less calories because they're getting fuller easier. So I don't know which way I will proceed. I think I'm going to go on a dry feed diet for a couple weeks, see if the pig's digestive health improves. And maybe I'll consider going on a late fermentations and building up, just like, you know. It makes sense. It's like raw milk. It's good for your microbiome, but too much good for your microbiome can be bad. So you got to work your way in. Maybe I'll just start slowly working it into the diet again and see if I can get those gains that people talk about with fermented feed. Now we've definitely rambled on too long. This is getting to be a 30-minute ramble. But I'm not about to do any video editing. Who's got time for that? Goose is walking around, lording her iron fist over the hens. Leave you with a shot of the beds. Getting pretty good germination in beds like this one right in front of us. On this side underneath the trees, we're getting great germination. On that side, where it's drier, I'm not getting that much. But directly underneath the trees, like at the base of the trees, like right there and right there, there's worse germination. You can actually just see in the wide shot. Because when the rain falls, it gets stuck up in the canopy. It doesn't actually land that much. But out here, the canopy is sparser, and so more rain lands out here, but the canopy shades it enough that less evaporates. Interesting little dynamic. I'm trying to water it as much as I can. I tried with the sprinkler, and I actually emptied our well, which was bad, obviously. So now I'm doing it by hand with the old hose and sprayer. It's taking me forever. But you can see the orange marks are where the beds are. We got about 1,300 square feet planted, which I think is pretty impressive. I'm pretty happy with that. Beets are just starting to come up. I know I said I was going to end this video, but Here are the beans. We've had some damage to the beans. Sometimes they get their tops torn off by something. I think it's a rabbit. They look great in this video, nice and green. Beets are starting to come up. They're kind of slow germinators. Patchy germination on the beets. It might just be my seed sowing technique there, but I could go through with a little toothpick skewer type thing and transplant these little guys around. Fill it in a little more. Or we'll just wait and see if things germinate now that I'm doing the watering regime. Because you can see I missed a bean. That bean ended up in the wrong spot. Got some grasses coming up. Nothing too bad. Not too bad weed pressure yet. A lot of hogweed and a lot of little grasses, but nothing's getting out of control just yet. Some lettuces are starting over here. Real small. Gotta keep those guys wet. If only these clouds would give me something. It's been half cloudy today, but no rain. I really could use some. It's already dry from when I watered this morning. I really need the rain. There's only so much you can water. Turnips are doing great. Turnips are probably my best germinator there. Everywhere where you see real thick layers, like right there, it's all turnips. Turnips are killing it. Turnips are killing it. Training the dogs to stay out of the beds is a work in progress. I saw Mary walk across one earlier this week. It's kind of hard to train them because, you know, you have to get them. Yeah, what am I just going to sit out here and watch them? Wait for them to do the wrong thing and then zap them? With Mary, I've been throwing the stick around, kind of trying to tempt her. I'll throw the stick like that way, tempt her to just slightly cross it. Because if I do it directly across, she'll go across. It doesn't matter how much I zap her. She's just too obsessed with the stick. That's all she cares about. So I'm in a tight spot on, this is the one thing I'm worried about. I don't want these guys germinating. These are some, that is just brutal. Man. These are American bitterbrush, I believe, or something like that, or bitterberry or something like that. There used to be a field over here. I had to did a lot of pulling them last fall. I was here for a short bit. It was rough. You can actually see there's some remnants on top of this tree. They climb it and wrap around. Last thing I want is them coming back. So throw these to the chickens. Oh, stop freaking out. I'm trying to feed you. Here's your little snack. There's our progress for the day. All these logs all stacked up, ready to skin them with the old makeshift draw knife, just an American scythe. It's a little unwieldy, but I don't have a draw knife and I can't really afford one, so first we have to get the truck up the hill. Got to get the transmission fixed on the truck before we can buy any tools, especially any fun woodworking hobby tools. Poor Ranger's stuck down the hill. Transmission's totally toast. It won't shift gears at all. It runs great start up and everything, strong start. But engine oil's just fine, good color. But we're leaking transmission fluid like you wouldn't believe. Might end up taking a job or something at the old Stony Creek Inn. Dishwashing or something, try and make some money so I can get the truck up the hill, get it running again. I have a bunch of transmission fluid. I was replacing it on my own, and I noticed pretty quickly that we were losing too much, so I was hoping it would just be a one time, I must have lost some, but it's gotten more serious. I'm just hoping it's not a total rebuild. Anyways, I don't know who's going to be watching this. Probably just my mother, my grandmother. Hello you two. But there's the progress for the day. Logs for the new coop. We'll see how that goes. Gotta measure them, see how much I have, and look at my schematics and see, I have a few more trees marked that are about the right diameter that I can cut. See one over there. I don't know if you can see the orange, but little flagging tape I used. It's on one of these poles over here. There's no way you can see that. No point in trying. But there's a few more trees I could cut if I have to, but I'd rather, cut as few as possible, obviously. So I'll measure this and refer to the stigmatics and see what this gets me. Because really, I want it to be as big as possible. We got a lot of hens, and during the winter, they're going to be spending a lot more time inside, and so I want to have as big of a space as possible. I still want to go with the A-frame design, something like this, but out of logs. I just need to figure out how I'm going to join them. Been doing a lot of research into round wood working with logs in the round, or log framing. There's a bunch of different terms for it, but it's kind of difficult to research because it's an old and new way of building, so it's kind of not. People are teaching it, people have books about it, there's a few books on my registry about it, but very few people are putting that information out for free, because the people who do know how to do this, they have classes, they have books. So sounds like it might be starting to come down. That's good, we needed it. Alright, now's the really time to end the video. I'm out of here. Good night.